I used to wake up and not know who I was going to talk to that day. And because of that, I would get down, I would flail about, and I would not get anything done the entire day. Nobody understand what I was doing, or did they? Welcome to How to Switch to a Tech Career in Your 30s and 40s. It's the podcast where we love to get excited and down to brass tacks, talking about the real things that help you move the needle when you switch from any other career into a high-tech or IT career. And this is where we're going to discuss the real hints, tips, tricks, and the methods and the protocol that help you switch into a real tech career. So welcome. I've said it before, but maybe you haven't heard it, and that is that feeling alone and feeling like you're the only person doing something, the only one that you know of in your family or your workplace that is trying to, maybe your church, who's trying to switch from one career to another, that feeling of being alone can really stop your progress. The impediment of loneliness and lack of direction is they go together. A lot of people think that they can put together a plan and make it from their career as a teacher or a coffee server or a plumber, whatever it is. They think that they can make the switch into tech, and they put together plans and they start out with a lot of spirit and emotion and excitement. And what it ends up being is a daily grind where you wake up like I did, knowing you have to do X, Y, and Z during the day, but not getting them done because you just feel like, well, what does it matter? Nothing's ever going to change. And that becomes the mentality. A person who is alone doing something being a lone ranger, is quite often the only kind of person who can switch into a tech career, because often it's so steep of a climb that unless you're the type of person who can even conceive of doing this alone, then you're probably not going to be the type of person who can make the switch. Now, am I saying that only people who go it alone, so to speak, are the kinds who will switch? No. But during the beginning process, during the initiation phase of getting the ball moving, many people are alone and they think they're going to be alone, and they move forward with that information. And because of that, that's why I say it takes the type of person who could do it alone in order to do it. Now, to make the switch to a tech career, you're going to need a lot of help. But at the start, you don't know where to find that help, so you're going to probably be alone. Eventually, maybe it's 3 months, 6 months, or a year, you get to the point where you keep doing the same things over and over. Maybe you're trying to take a course, get the course done. Maybe you're taking a test and you keep failing and you don't know what's wrong. Or maybe you're even applying to jobs and you're not sure why you keep getting ghosted. So somewhere along the path, 3, 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, you hit this wall and you're going to feel like nothing's ever going to change. And so you start looking outside of yourself for some help. This is where I would introduce to you the concept of accountability. Accountability is just a definition here, it is really having someone around you that can check in on you and hold you to a set of standards. I would say that an accountability partner is probably the reason that many people switch into tech, and actually make it work, make it happen. Because you can only go forward on your own so long before you hit that wall. And then if you don't have an accountability partner, you're going to just keep spinning the wheels even more or give up. Let me tell you a little bit about my experience. And when I was switching into a tech career, I was going it alone. I was a lone ranger. I didn't know anyone else around me that was in tech. I remember one of my friends coming up to me and telling me that one of his friends switched into tech and was really, really smart and was even starting companies. And I also remember looking in the yellow pages back when those were a thing. I think it was actually online, but it was still the yellow pages for a company to build a website that I was working on because I needed a partner. And I found someone, and this person was someone who just kind of built up their own career in tech and even started a company, just like the other person I just mentioned. And so I did have eventually, within a few years, 2 contacts. One of them I contacted and the other I didn't until much, much later after I had been in tech. But I started hearing about, people who had done the same thing that I was trying to do. Eventually, I approached one of those people who had their own companies and were building websites and were highly intelligent. I approached one of them and asked to shadow. And later on down the road, I became a business partner for a short time with that person. What I learned when I shadowed was that it took a lot of guts and bravery and courage to be able to sell services to other people. But I also learned this. This was probably the thing that kept me going, and that was that I wasn't the only one trying to do this, trying to build websites and sell them to people and sell services as a consultant on my own. This person, who was kind of a mentor to me, was doing the exact same thing. So I walked away from that one day mentorship or shadowing with a lot of encouragement. And that was nice. That was not an accountability partner for me, however. That person was a mentor for a day or once in a while. Having an accountability partner would have sped up my transition into a tech career, and I do think it would help you as well. Try to think of some other things you do where you don't have any input or daily accountability from anyone else. What other things do you do as a lone ranger, so to speak? Think through your job. Do you work alone? If you do work alone, do you have people you look up to and you try to imitate them? Okay. Do you have anyone at your current job, if you don't work alone? Do you have any peers or coworkers that you talk with and who holds you accountable? Do you have any person in your family who, when you do something around the house, they will hold you to the line and make sure you did it right? I know when I clean, my wife is my accountability partner because she will make sure I did it correctly. When I'm eating dinner with my family, I know my kids will hold me to it because my kids will tell me if I'm grumpy or not. And they'll even make up songs about me being grumpy. And that has happened. When we're switching to a tech career, though, and this was my situation for many years, it really helps to have someone who's there all the time for you. Not necessarily to tell you exactly what to do, but to make sure that you've done the things that you've promised to do. There are a few benefits from having an accountability partner, and that is sympathy. One of them is sympathy. When you have a bad day, an accountability partner can tell you, I am sorry you've had a bad day. Is there anything I can do to cheer you up? When you've had a bad day in performance, and you might even feel good about your day, but you did not do the things you knew you should have done to switch into a tech career, your accountability partner can push you in a very good way. Hey, why didn't you check those things off your task list? Why didn't you research those other companies you're going to apply to? Why didn't you finish course section 3 of the course like you promised? Why didn't you fill out your daily KPIs? Was there a reason for that? An accountability partner could also bake into your lifestyle predetermined humility. What this means is that when you wake up in the morning, you know that there's someone there that might call you out on something. And so you approach everything in your day in regards to switching to a tech career as someone who's willing to take input, and that changes the way you do everything. For example, if I have a task to complete a practice test by the end of the day, and I don't have an accountability partner, I may skip out on part of the practice test, only get 80% of it done. And I may not fill out the results, because if I don't like the results, I don't like writing it down. But if I have an accountability partner, and I have this finish the practice test on my task list, well, I'm going to start the test knowing and planning to get it all done, because I will have someone call me out if I didn't get it done. This is kind of like when I was in school, and we were always told not to succumb to peer pressure. But an accountability partner is like positive peer pressure. If someone else is doing the same thing you're doing, they have the right and the ability to call you out on it. And it goes both ways. You may be an accountability partner for that person as well. The power of having someone check up on you seems daunting at first, but once you're used to it, it becomes something of a new way to operate in your life. I would encourage you to find an accountability partner. At Tech Career Accelerator, what we do is we offer a small group of people who will hold you accountable and will give you some pushback as much as it's invited to do. And if our group starts to become a group that doesn't push back, that's the time where we start to examine the group and say, we need some people in here who are willing to do that. Because when one person is accountable, it raises the water level of performance expectations for every single person in our group. So whether it's with us or someone else, maybe it's time for you to get an accountability partner and look for one. I hope this has been encouraging to you. I think that you will find more success when you have someone that holds you to the fire. And if you can't find an accountability partner and you just need someone to encourage you along, you can email me at info@tekleed.com, and I'll do what I can to point you in the right direction. I hope you have a great day. How to Switch to a Tech Career in Your 30s and 40s is the podcast that tries to help you switch into a tech career, no matter what your background is, give you some support and some encouragement along the way. Now, if you're stuck and you need some help, give me an email at info@tekleed.com, info@tekleed.com, all spelled wrong. And if you're looking for a Facebook group to get involved in or anything else, you can look at the show notes and we got some info down there. Until next time, my name is Brooks Haynes and I've been your host today, and I thank you for listening. From the shores of the Vermilion River in southeastern Minnesota, have a good day.